Let's look at a couple basic math operations involving matrices. I want to add these two matrices together. First thing I want to examine are the dimensions of each one. Both matrices are 3 by 2. That's because there are 3 rows in each and 2 columns. Since they have the same dimensions, I can find its sum. The sum would also have the same dimensions. In order to figure out what the elements are, I would want to look at elements that correspond in the same positions. So 6 plus 2 would equal 8. Next I would have 5 plus 3 equals 8. 3 plus 7, 2 plus 0, negative 1 plus 0, and 0 plus negative 5. This would be the sum of adding the two matrices. If I look at this example, the first matrix is a 2 by 2, and the second matrix is a 1 by 3, and that's because there's only one row but 3 columns. Since the dimensions are different, this would be undefined. It's not possible to find its sum. Now let's look at subtraction. It works the same way as addition because subtraction is nothing more than adding the opposite. So once again, I need to focus on corresponding elements, as well as the math operation involved. So 6 minus 4 would be 2. Next, 5 subtracted negative 7 is the same as 5 plus 7. Then I have 3 subtract 3, 2 minus 0, negative 1 subtract negative 8 is the same thing as negative 1 plus 8, and last is 0 subtract 1, which is negative 1. The next thing to look at is what do we do when there's a number in front of a matrix. This is called scalar multiplication. It's assumed that we want to multiply 5 to every single element inside. So basically it's the distributive property. So 5 times 3, I'm going to do that with each element. I'm making everything inside the original matrix 5 times greater. Now we're going to put both concepts together. So think about simplifying math expressions. We need to multiply before we add or subtract. So I want to multiply my first matrix by the number 2. I want to make everything 2 times greater. My second matrix, I'm going to multiply everything by negative 3. That subtract 3 is the same as adding a negative 3, so I'm going to distribute that as a negative 3. These are my elements after I distribute. So my last step would be to put the corresponding terms or elements together, and this would be my answer. My last example has 3 variables in it. There's an x, y, and a z. I want to find all 3 of these variables. So let's start with the letter x. So I'm going to locate where x is. Next I'm going to highlight all the corresponding elements with that x. So if I were to make an equation, I have 2x plus 4. My math operation is addition, and that should equal the negative 2. Then I'm going to simplify I'll combine like terms on the left side of the equation. Add 4 to the right side. And last, I would divide both sides by the number 2. That means x would equal 1. My next variable is y. So once again, I'm going to highlight the corresponding spots where y is. My equation would be 5 plus y equals 0. So by subtracting 5 from both sides, y will equal negative 5. And my last variable is z. My equation would be negative 1 plus 4z equals 9. I will add the 1 to the other side. Last, I have to divide by 4. 10 isn't divisible by 4, and it's okay to leave it as an improper fraction, but I want to make sure it's reduced. That means z equals 5 halves, 2 1/2, or 2.5.